Good evening, everyone. Wherever you're listening and watching from around the world and the Eastern Caribbean, there's a special edition of Make We Talk. A very special edition of Make We Talk with my good friends Wilfred Rattigan and Conrad O'Brien from New Start 93 FM. Where is Usain Bolt money? That's the question we're asking this evening. And it seems that they don't want Mr. Rattigan to talk because him dancing Gary on the camera system here. Where is Mr. Usain Bolt money? Where the money disappear to? We're asking the question this evening. His lawyers are saying that the SSL hasn't formally contact Mr. Bolt. The young lady who signed an affidavit or affidavit, Usain's name is not on the paperwork. So we're trying to figure out what is going on here. I don't know what's going on with Mr. Rattigan's system, but the camera system is not coming up good at all. Unmute your mic, gentlemen. Fireman, unmute your mic. Come on in and let us discuss what is going on with the whole.
Are you hearing me?
Yes, I'm hearing you loud and clear, but I don't know what's going on with Rebel. Rebel system not working good.
Timothy is here. Are you hearing Rebel?
He's not hearing us. You continue. Let us find out what's going on here.
All right. Well, as Jeffrey said earlier, of course, Jeffrey is dubbed as the defender. And you know, I'm the fireman, and we're waiting on our third, the other person to form the third of this team, the Rebel. So, as Jeffrey said earlier, this evening we'll be looking at the present saga that's taking place right here in Jamaica within the financial sector. And indeed, the SSL is front and center in the whole discussion. However, what we have been seeing in the financial sector, generally to include the commercial banks, we have been seeing a lot of fraudulent activities taking place over the last few months or so. And indeed, it begs the question as to what the president of the Bankers Association, Mr. Clark, what is he doing as Mr. Hyman is financial commentator and journalist, financial journalist Roston Hyman, who hosts one of the top financial programs here in Jamaica and Power 106. I had him on my program this morning on News Start 93 FM Straight Up. And we got into a lot of issues there where those questions were asked, and in addition to that, the Bank of Jamaica was also brought into the loop as to what are they doing in order to tighten up on the regulation to close out. Well, certainly on the whatever it is, because I think regulation or whatever system they need to tighten up. So basically we can have a better lid on the control of people's monies within the bank, within the financial sector. So that is the deposit-taking institution, which is the banks, the credit union, and so on. That aspect of it that is regulated by the BOJ ultimately, although generally across the board, the financial sector seems to be getting into, or the possibilities are there for the sector to be in a crisis mode. I'm not there as yet. I'm treating this as an isolated issue at SSL, but certainly where the rubber hits the road, Jeffrey, is that we are at a point where the confidence in the sector could be hit hard. And once the confidence in your financial sector is take a hard hitting, then certainly it is a biggie. And, you know, you could see all sorts of things happening there, because you could have a situation where you have capital flight, and also people could stay away from taking their monies in Jamaica. Usain Bolt is indeed an international figure. So this story that's impacting Jamaica now, it's global. Just the mere fact that it involved Mr. Bolt. And we're seeing where his attorney at law, Mr. Gordon et al., they are flexing their muscle this afternoon and saying that, you know, well, they have basically released a letter, Jeffrey. I'm unable to pick that up. I don't know if you or Mr. Rattigan have that. So you could basically read that letter that came from the Mr. Bolt's attorney this afternoon. Are you at, is it in your reach?
No, I don't have a copy of it.
Jeffrey?
I don't know where he went.
I'm hearing you very well, Ratty, but I don't know if Jeffrey is hearing.
Yeah, I'm hearing you loud and clear, Mr. Rattigan, from Waterhouse to Timbuktu. I'm searching for the letter, but I don't think I had deleted some stuff out of my phone because the phone got overfilled. Anyway, Mr. Rattigan, based on what you hear this evening, that Mr. Bolt hasn't gotten a formal communique from the SSL pertaining to his money. What would you take on that? And also the young lady who signed with a JP of her confession and everything like that. You don't see Usain Bolt name on the list of names that is there.
Well, first of all, we'd have to verify that affidavit that allegedly she signed. She did it with the assistance of her attorney and signed. We'd have to verify that it's authentic, because you know how it is these days with a lot of fake news. So we really don't know. But assuming that it's authentic, it speaks volumes that Mr. Bolt's name is not on that document, because what it says then is that monies deposited with that company are missing, and it's more than one person that's involved, because this one person that we were led to believe that she's the end all be all of it. We're finding out now that, yeah, we're finding out now that when you total the amount of financial transactions that she personally was engaged in and how she defrauded the clients, and by extension the company, if we're to believe that the company is completely innocent, then that number doesn't add up to what the total loss. So the question is, where is the rest of the money and who else is involved? We know that people are involved, just based on the sheer numbers. The second part, my second observation is that, you know, while the financial sector has been riding the wave of success and prosperity and opportunity for the past several years, I don't have full faith and confidence in it, particularly now. And no one should. I mean, this might be just one company, but this company was a major player. And you can tell if they have Usain Bolt as a client, then, you know, success follows success. And I'm sure he's not the only person, you know, of great reputation that's deposited their monies with this company. It remains to be seen who else is on the list. Now, third thing is, we haven't heard anything from the government so far. At least I haven't. I haven't heard anything from the Prime Minister. I haven't heard anything from the Minister of Finance or any other minister, which leads me to start thinking. I'm not there yet, but I'm beginning to think that if there's a full-blown investigation conducted by MOCA, for example, that what we're likely to see is some important people, the finances of some pretty important people, particularly our politicians, Go ahead.
Well, Mr. Rattigan, from if I may just share some information, the premier institution that is already in on it, which is the FID, right? The Financial Investigation Branch, they are in on it, and the police fraud squad is also in on it. As it relates to the government weigh in so far, after the opposition, PNP, issued a statement earlier today, asked for the government to break their silence. This evening, on the evening news here in Jamaica, certainly on television, Jamaica, Dr. Nigel Clark, the Jamaica Minister of Finance, came out and he issued a very brief statement, or he said something. And what he said was basically to try to, comfort the people, to say that the financial sector is quite strong, and indeed this is the one-off. No,
but hold on for me, Mr. O'Brien. Remember what you're gonna say for me. If the Minister of Finance is gonna come out and say the financial sector is strong, yet the FSC is saying that they know about some irregularity going on at the SSL from way back when, and they did not tell investors. So how can the minister come out and say that?
Well, yes, the sector generally, and I would want to think that we have a very robust financial sector here in Jamaica. Where you are, Jeffrey, is the body, which and we have to separate. Let's separate, because you have the financial sector is basically broken in two, as it were. You have the investment houses, like the SSL, etc., etc. And then you have the deposit-taking institution now, which is the commercial bank and the credit union, right? So there's a split there. However, we have been seeing skullduggeries within the commercial banks as well. But as we're focusing this evening on the non-taking deposit institution, the investment house, and under the microscope is SSL. And from based on the FSC own confession that they would have gone in their issue statement and they have flagged certain irregularity and so on, it begs the question, why is SSL was still allowed to operate? And who called the shot there? What was it? And that is where the rubber really hit the road and the fly in the ointment. Because if the Financial Services Commission is the regulated body, and such a red flag has been showing up for a number of years. This wasn't just yesterday or last week, but based on their own admission, this would have come to a head somewhere from about 2017. As a matter of fact, and it's also very important now, because the letter that was issued by the attorney for Mr. Bol state that up to October 2022, there was an amount of almost $13 million that was in Mr. Bol's account. And as you rightly point out, Mr. Rattigan, that the young lady, based on what we're seeing so far, if we're to take that as gospel to say that this is a correct affidavit that she had signed to, then it shows that the money that she would be responsible for would be just over $1 million US. Now, Mr. Bolt alone has almost $13 million in the institution. And it would be very, very hard pressed for anyone to believe that over the years when you're seeing this irregularity, those persons would have been allowed at any lower level, allowed to continue in their employment. So it begs the question, who is really the culprit here?
And not only that, the owners of the SSL hasn't reached out to Mr. Boltall now. Mr. Rattigan,
Yeah, I'm listening.
your views on what we're just saying, sir?
Yeah, you know, it's sad. But again, I'm glad that it's coming out now. But I don't think I think we're only scratching the surface right now. I think there's a lot more to be told. A lot more investigation to take place. One of the things that I'm concerned about is whether or not, given the fact that we have policemen in specialized positions resigning, I'm just wondering whether or not there are enough specialists to deal with this case, whether it's MOCA or the JCF. I don't know who's taking point on this investigation, but whoever it is, let's just hope that they have enough qualified people to deal with this. Because if this is something that's been going on for 10 years, you're going to need forensic accountants. And I don't know if they have, I don't know how many they have in MOCA. I don't know how many they have in the JCF. This is beyond just a regular accounting. It's more than that. So it remains to be seen. And I hope that this is conducted in the sunshine. So when it's over and done, people know exactly what was going on over that financial house. And, you know, we shall see. We shall see. I just don't have any faith and confidence in the financial sector at this point in time. Plus, also, you know, in light of Vision 20, the Jamaican government has been doing outreach to the diaspora to, you know, come back and make Jamaica the place to live, raise a family, work, and invest. I don't know how much of that message now will be accepted by the diaspora. Because
as you said, Mr. Rattigan, that this definitely has international legs. International legs. The mere fact that a Usain Bolt is at the center of this. You know, right. Usain connection is global. I mean, he took to his social media page and you know, issue a statement, and that alone reverberates across the globe.
See, he being the athletics icon, the athletics ambassador, global ambassador that he is, and his contacts all over the globe. He could have put his money somewhere else, but he chose to put it in Jamaica, his country, right? He chose to put it there. And I think, as an example, say, look, you know, everything is safe and sound. You guys, everybody else who follows me, you can come and put your money inside there. No, now they're looking and they're going, if that can happen to him with 14 million or 13 million, what's that going to do with my, you know, 25,000? You know, and remember now, you know, one cocoa full basket, because you don't have a whole lot of people like Bolt coming in with 13, 14 million at a time. We probably have is a lot of diaspora people who them take them life savings, which might be, you know, 100,000 or less, and them come on, but there's a lot of them. So in the end, you know, that adds up. So I don't think anybody's in any hurry right now to come back and put any money in Jamaica. The money is gonna stay right here. It's not gonna be wire transfer to Jamaica.
And Mr. Rattigan and Jeffrey, that's where again I'm using the term quite often to say that's where the rubber hits the road. Because here is another situation. By virtue of what you just mentioned, Mr. Rattigan, we could find that the Jamaican dollar could come under severe pressure by way, and that in itself is going to. And guess what happened? This is happening at a time when the international rating agency globally are forecasting a recession, possible recession in the world. As a matter of fact, coming out this week, they have basically downgraded the forecast for growth globally. It was said to be 3-point-something%, and it's now 1-point-something%. So it cut literally in two halves. And Jamaica is a small, open economy. So just imagine the impact that this can have. And that is why I believe the focus must be in a big way on the FSC, because the FSC could have averted this had they carried out their fiduciary responsibility or their regulatory responsibility by shutting down the company earlier and basically say to the people that there was something happening here. But
based on what I am being told
Mhm.
that the FSC knew, the FSC did some investigation, knew about this. So it begs to ask the question, and I'm saying it publicly without an apology. Is the FSC in some hanky-panky with SSL? With SSL?
No, well, that's a question that I just put out there, Jeff, because what I'm saying, based on the fact that the red flag were raised, the FSC went in, they did some work, they basically stated that the company wasn't healthy, etc., etc. And it is the duty of the regulators to do something. In this case, the FSC is the regulator. And that's why I'm saying that the focus must be on the FSC in a big way. And I'm agreeing with you. The question must be asked, is it that there are some persons with connection that are in very, very close proximity of arm's length to that company, why they were still allowed to be operating and to take in people money and do whatever, to know we can see where one person lost 12, 13 million US dollars. And, the focus is on Usain Bolt. And Usain Bolt may very well be in a better off position than a number of other persons who have genuinely lost their last dollar there in terms of, Usain is still a relatively young man. He still have some other income stream, and so on. So he maybe can rebound, although it's really it can't be easy for you to rebound from a loss of 13 million US dollars.
I am getting something here. And I am not going to say this is true or this is not true. A major donor of the Labour Party government sit on the board of the FSC between July 2017 to September 2001. Now, whether this is true or not, what is really going on here? I wish I could find the letter of the lawyer, but I can't. I don't know what I did with it. Mr. Rattigan, go ahead, Fireman.
No, I'm saying your tentacles stretch very far, and that's some information that you're sharing. I'm not in a position to verify or to agree or to disagree with it. I don't know. I'm seeing that same communique circulating that you're referring to. So,
and I am not going to call any name on this program, but some names are on this thing here that they are big Labour Party donors and fundraisers, and they have ties to both the FSC and SSL. If all of this is true, what we have here is a web of corruption going on.
Let's hear from Council. Council?
Yeah, well, look.
Council look tired tonight, like he was on drunk, bro.
No, man. What happened? What's going on here is that the story just broke, and we have to tread very carefully with it, because we usually say that the first iteration of the story is usually incorrect, right? Or is not comprehensive. So there is more to be done with this story. And so while we're waiting for everything to come, I don't know how long it's going to take for them to complete their investigation. I don't even know if they start yet. They said they're going to start, but I don't know if they start, how far they've gone. Who have they interviewed? What records have they looked at? Including telephone records and text messages and wire transfers. We don't know. So, but assuming that what we've gotten so far is true, this doesn't bode well at all. And think about it. Had it not been for Usain Bolt, would the story be as significant as it is right now? If Jeffrey Tavares and Wilfred Rattigan and Conor O'Brien had money inside here, and we're just normal Joes. If nobody like Usain Bolt was in with us, would the story get the play it's getting right
Well,
now?
it will get the play of a Conor O'Brien, you know, but a Jeffrey Tavares, no.
Oh, please, oh, please. On the contrary, but you know, because you're spot on, Ratty. You're spot on, Rebel. Because if you notice, all the news item, the news cards, it don't mention one other name so far, you know. Well, it don't mention one other name so far. All you hear is, you know, Olympic sprinter or the world fastest man, Usain Bolt, has been fleeced. And as I made the point earlier, that Usain, you know, and I'm not minimizing this in any shape or form, because God knows when he tell you his story and tell you about the level of training that he had to go through, you know, his coach will tell you these guys literally vomit, they puked based on the level of training and so on. And for him to basically use his God-given talent to put down his nest egg there for his retirement, and as he said in a statement through his attorney, that this money was also to ensure that his mother and father enjoy a comfortable lifestyle in their twilight years as well. You know, so it really not something that I'm minimizing, but at the same time, I'm saying that there may very well be other persons who have been fleeced that are at much lower, at the much lower rung of the ladder. And remember now that even persons whose monies are not taken out of the institution, you know, they're in jeopardy of losing their money, or at least some of it. Because when you have a company that become insolvent, basically the sum total is going to come together and persons will get a percentage. I had a caller this morning out of St. James, and he told me that he had something in there. He had a few thousand US in there. And the reason why he got in there is that one of the investment advisor basically was known to him, and a number of them, they want to support him. So what they did was to come in, because a part of the remuneration of those persons are commission. You know, they get a commission based on the amount that is taken. So right. They actually, you know, went in and supporting. And as Ratty said earlier, that the fact that you have, because one of the things that you do when you as a trained marketer and a salesman, one of the things that you do whenever you are pushing your product out there, you draw on names. So you're going to use Usain Bolt as a poster child and say, yeah man, see it here, we're credible because Usain is one of our big investors and so on and so forth. So that's actually Usain outside of just being an investor. He was also a card, a drawing card company.
Yes, but gentlemen, based on the statement that I'm getting here from the SSL, with all the names of who
FSL
had money in there, I will not call anybody's name on my program, but the total amount of money that Miss Panton claimed to take is $4,323.73 US, which is 90 million Jamaican dollars. Something as what Mr. Rattigan said is not adding up here. And I don't want you all to think that I'm going back of what we said earlier on. But if Usain Bolt money, which is 13 million US, the equivalent of 1.5 billion Jamaican dollars, gone missing, only left $12,000 in it, or 12 million in it. I don't know, 12,000 in it, rather, 12,000 in it.
12,000 and change.
Yes, US and change. Is it that this young lady never touched Mr. Bolt money? Because the figures here are not adding up at all. Mr. Rattigan?
that statement, that affidavit should get, I think it's dated January 7th.
Right.
So unless she has amended that statement, we have to assume that she didn't touch Mr. Bowles' money, or she's lying. One of the two. You know, we have to if there's an amended affidavit, then we should be looking at that. But absent that, what she's saying there is that I never touched his money, because she talks about her personal involvement and what she did with all of these things. What would be interesting to find out is, what does she know about what other people were doing? She's saying this is what I did, and also this is what she did. But we need to ask her: is this everything that you did? This might be some of the things that you did, and these are things she basically said she did on her own. And she had what do you call them? The people who deliver stuff for you in Jamaica. Bearers, right? But essentially, she did this on her own. So we'd like to know: did she join a partnership, and a legal partnership with others, and did the same thing? Or what does she know about others who were involved in doing the same thing she was doing? But at the end of the day, that affidavit that she did, that is nowhere near the amount of money that was lost by that company. And I shouldn't say lost. I shouldn't say lost because I didn't lose it.
Mr. Rattigan and Mr. Tavares.
Yes, sir, go ahead.
Without even, and you say we have to stay on point. And when I say we, I mean generally, not just us here. The important point, and we must stay with the question, because this is just but one leg. We understand that the system was being flogged in our big way since 2017 before, but it really came to a head in 2017. No. And why did the FSC not step in? And the management of the company, the senior management of the companies, the owners there is, the operators of the companies. If those monies were identified missing from, those things were taking place, why would they continue to have those persons employed within the company? And what did they do? We did not hear of anybody being arrested, anybody being charged, or anything like that. So what was it? It was just a grand conspiracy for a person at the highest level of this company to be involved in this all sorts of skullduggery. But I want to heal on the side of caution to say that it's early days. The FID head, Mr. Hay, is this Mr. Hay? I think. He said that, let me leave the name out. The FID head, his name is eluding me at the moment. He said in a statement that the investigation is in its very, very infant state. He also said that it is winding and very wieldy and very complex. So let's see what will happen there. FID is leading. I think Mocha is inside. Mocha will be going in there too, and also the general arm of the investigative apparatus of the police force.
But also, I'll let you go, Mr. Rattigan, but also, Mr. Bolt lawyer this evening on a very prominent radio station in Jamaica, this country of ours, said that Mr. Bolt continued to get, when I call it something again, we get from the bank? Statements from the bank. And of October 2022 rather, Mr. Bolt get a statement that his $13 million was safe and sound in the account.
Yes.
So the question must be asked, is it a false statement that they continue listening to the man? And it's when he started, is when, some hanky-panky going on here, man. Mr. Rattigan, you're a former FBI agent, an attorney at law. If your client getting all of these statements from the bank, from the financial institution, the SSL, stating that Usain St. Leah Bolt has $13 million in this account. and you are his lawyer, and now this happened, what would you be thinking, Mr. Rattigan?
I would be looking for the latest. What's the date of the last statement that he received from this financial house?
Based on what the lawyer said on the radio station, and based on what I have here in my hand,
October 2022.
October 2022.
Just October.
Right. And how often do they get statements? Or is it the way they operate? Is it something that you can ask for a statement, or are statements given out routinely? Or do you have access to check your statement on a daily basis?
The lawyer is saying that he get the statement every month.
So where's the November statement?
Obviously, maybe they have that too.
And the December statement.
So I don't know, but based on what we have here, what the make we talk team could.
The other thing is that Usain Bolt, while he displayed his prowess on the athletic field, he's not a financial genius or guru, so he would have had to employ people to take care of his funds for him. Now, given the fact that all of this was going on, this hanky-panky stuff was going on since 2017, I'm thinking, what would convince them then to put their money in this financial institution as opposed to any other financial institution? And maybe he has money in other financial institutions too, but with this particular one, what would compel them to advise him to put his money in this financial institution, considering what was going on in 2017?
Well, a question was asked because he opened the account in 2012. And a question was asked of his lawyer this evening. What happened to his manager? And the lawyer, in a sense, refused to answer the question. So, is it that something? Remember,
Ratty, just to give you a little bit of information to buttress your point. I don't want us to and not necessarily conflating, but just by way of information. Remember that Mr. Bolt's longtime manager, Mr. Peart, they severed relationship round about the same time that this statement would have released, I think somewhere in November, December of last year. We understand that, but the statement that issued said that they sever ties in an amicable way. So just by way of information, the fact that you raised that, his longtime manager no longer there, but he also has in place now an executive manager. I forgot his name.
Well, there's a worrying trend that I'm seeing here. I've seen it over the years and I've kind of turned a blind eye to it, but now it's blindingly clear to me that Jamaica, in all its quest to become a first world nation, there are some woefully lacking things that we need to look at. One of them is, and this goes to, you can use the law enforcement sector, you can use the health sector, you can use the education sector, you can use local government sector, you can use just about any sector, labor sector, is that we still tend to do things in a reactive way. Overall, we don't think and say, how can we prevent something from happening? We think that, okay, something is going to happen, and when it happens, what do we do, right? And then we'll wait for it to happen, and then we say, oh, guardrails should have been put in the financial sector, so ensure that something like this doesn't happen. Look at what happened with the education. Look at what happened with the education thing, right? Everybody's pointing the finger this way, that way, and nobody sought to say, hey, you know what? Let's try to prevent this thing. Same thing with the law enforcement sector, national security. They don't think proactively. They don't think predictively. They think reactively. They react. They don't.
And not only that, Mr. Rattigan, this has been going on where people come into Jamaica. You remember when they sell JPS to Morant? Morant was bankrupt in the United States. And when Morant done with JPS, he sell it back for how much, whatever. And he go back to America, pay off his back taxes and own a power plant in Texas. You remember the Cash Plus? Cash Plus came into Jamaica and defraud people of how many millions of dollars. And the government of the day and today hasn't put anything in place to assist the people of our country.
Right.
No. The Cash Plus situation, and what happened while the Cash Plus was outside of the ambit of the regulatory body. All right, it wasn't a formal institution, as it were. So it's it's a different thing. People basically took that chance of their own. Since then, government would have done something to sort of prevent the Ponzi schemes. However, we're talking about a separate situation now where you have a regulated institution, and this happened, and the regulator that was put in place, the FSC, that was put in place after the meltdown, basically obviously fell down on the job here. But I want to put this to you, Mr. Rattigan. Persons who are listening would say that, listen, you enumerate all the ills of Jamaica in terms of, you know, these things happen and the sector, persons having issue with the financial sector. But we have seen what took place in the United States recently with the Bitcoin and the crypto currency and all of those sorts of things, where people lost billions of dollars almost in a day. You know, explain the difference here?
The difference is that Bitcoin industry is similar to a Cash Plus. You take your risk. It's not government regulated. It's not backed by any government. So it's just a bunch of individuals coming together with this scheme, right? And people invest in it. So you invest, and with every investment, there is a risk. It's just that with the Bitcoin thing, there's a huge risk because there are huge gains. The other thing, that's one point. The second point is this. Whenever I hear that conversation, that well, this is going on, something similar is going on where you reside, or it's going on in Europe or Africa or someplace, I always try to bring the conversation back and say, well, wait a minute. We're not talking about those places. We're talking about Jamaica. And sometimes the government, government officials, they do that to deflect. So they'll say, hey, and I've been on programs where people have put it to me that, but in America you have crime and all that stuff. I said, yeah, but we're not discussing crime in America. We're discussing crime in Jamaica. If you want to discuss crime in America, that's a different topic. We can always talk about that. But let's talk about what's going on and let's not lose focus. And that's the issue. So it's the same thing here. Go ahead,
Mr. Rattigan. Go ahead.
No, so whenever I hear that, well, no country is perfect. None that I've visited, or where I've lived. But you have countries that are better than other countries in dealing with things. But what I try to do is I try to stay focused on a particular issue and just deal with that issue. And then if the issue comes up somewhere else and there's a conversation about that, then I deal with it. Yeah.
Great.
But to look at this, I heard Mr. Conrad O'Brien from New South 93 FM said this, that there are things in place. And if things are in place, as what you said, the FSC fell down and sleeping. Is it that, pardon me?
No, go ahead, Jeffrey. Go ahead.
Is it that the people of our country must say to themselves that the banking sector is not safe, the financial sector is not safe? You have seen people going into people's account in Sagicor Bank, in NCB. How many people in a NCB is before the court now? So the question has to be asked, is the financial sector in Jamaica safe for the poor pauperizing Jamaicans who have a chip and halfpenny? That's the question must be asked, because majority of our people not getting the proper wage they're supposed to get. And if they want to go into a financial institution to invest some money for a rainy day, and this is going on, Mr. Rattigan and Mr. O'Brien.
Let me just add this. That you mentioned about guardrails, saying that after the cash plus incident and many other incidents that the government should have erected guardrails and exerted oversight. And fireman said, well, then yes, they did, even though it was an informal thing, but they still did something to rein in that type of activity, right? And to control it and to regulate it. But the thing about that now is we see it time and time again. Jamaica is not short on regulation. You know, I'm telling you, some of the policies I've read in Jamaica are some of the best policies I've read. The issue in Jamaica is about implementation, because it's just like like Jeffrey, we did the program this morning, and with the Child Care Protection Act,
right.
there are provisions there to deal with this thing with William Rabansky and
Paul Rabansky
and embracing orphans, his organization. There are things in there, but people don't implement them. We're very good at writing stuff, but then when it comes to implementing stuff and being proactive, we're not there. We're just not there.
Mr. Rattigan,
yes,
listen,
sir.
We have to put the blame where it is. The fact of the matter, without any contradiction, Omar Davis as finance minister, PJ Patterson as prime minister, in collaboration with the overall governance structure, went beyond the call of duty and put in the FSC. The FSC. I worked in the sector. I know what happened. The regulation by the FSC is a very strong one. There's also another tier that came into being, the deposit insurance. Granted, that's not a lot. Yeah, it's about $1.2 million now if you have that money, and that's covered within the commercial bank. So if you have about 1.2 million in the bank and the bank happens to go down, then basically you would safeguard at least at that 1.2 million.
So Conrad,
hold on.
Hold on there. Sorry to cut in. You're saying to me that the PJ Patterson-led government of the 1990s implement the FSC because of the collapse of central bank, or before central bank?
Collapse of the financial sector, the meltdown of the financial sector,
right.
General.
They did it before or after?
No, man, they afterwards, because what happened, the regulations wasn't as tight as it were. So when things happen, just like what happened in the United States, they have basically moved, strengthened the regulations from time to time. So what happened, the FSC basically came into being to put some tighter guardrails in the system so that certain things should not take place. So what happened, and we're going over it over and over, the FSC went in and flagged this company before. The red flags were all over the company by way of what we're hearing from the FSC, and they will be having a press conference tomorrow morning. I'm hoping, I don't know if I will get in on it, but they will be having a press conference tomorrow morning. And there are some very, very pointed questions that need to be asked of them. Why, hold on, Jeffrey, why based on those red flags, obvious red flags that you go in, you issue things and so, why did you not move in before now? When you see what was happening, the management structure seems as if it was quite weak, a lot of things, and they were still allowed to be operating. And that is where now, Jeffrey, I have to join with you in asking the question, is it because of connection from certain people, whoever they may be?
Is it because, let me say it now, is it because of people from the Labour Party who sit on boards? You don't ask, but me not ask it. You afraid to ask, but me will ask it. Is it because members of the Jamaica Labour Party sit on the boards of these financial institutions? Huh? Is it because of that? And the question must be asked also, Mr. Rattigan and Mr. Brian. The person who owns SSL based on what I'm hearing, don't know if it's true, but I will say it out there, allegation that he is a former manager of the collapsed Crown Eagle Merchant Bank.
Well, certainly one of the founding players.
Yes, one of the founding players. So how is it if the bank collapse? Hold on here. If the bank collapse, why did they give this man a license to open back another company? The FSC flagged this company, and it continued to operate. What is going on? What is going on? Is that corruption stink to the highest heaven in this country? Where a financial institution, the regulator, flagged the company, and nothing was done, Mr. O'Brien?
Well, that's a big question, sir, and I can't ventilate that any further, because all we can do is ask a question. As I said, there will be a meeting, a press conference tomorrow by the FSC, with the FSC call a press conference for tomorrow, sometime tomorrow morning. It will be interesting. I'm hoping that persons who will be there, the journalists, the broadcasters, the practitioners in the media who are there, I'm hoping that they will ask the pointed question. I would like to see somebody like a Ralston, Hyman, and so on on that meeting, because on that press conference, as I say, I'm not sure that I will be able to be a part of it, but certainly you want to have people inside there who will ask the pointed question, and so that they can invoke the proper response from the relevant persons.
What we need to find out, are they going to have it in a sense where they send out a Zoom link and question can be asked? Or is it that they're going to send out a statement? Or is it that they're going to have a favorite few to go there? Listen to me. Listen to me. What is going on in this country now? You see, if any member of the list is a U.S. citizen, and money got through the U.S. banking system, so Mr. Rattigan can verify I'm telling a lie, and they start dig up, is the government of Jamaica going to allow them to dig up, or are they going to put a blockage to it?
Well, let's ask Ratty to explain that point that you just raised.
No, sorry,
what difference? What implication, or what would that have any other different coloration from what is happening if persons have money in this institution or U.S. citizens? Would it have any other bearing or implication, Ratty?
Well, in fact, they don't even have to be U.S. citizens. If you can show that the money
9 o'clock
is as a result of corruption, and you can show that they use the ill-gotten gains. They use the American banking system to transfer the ill-gotten gains. That will give jurisdiction to DOJ, to the FBI, to investigate.
So what you're actually saying, let's get it clear. So if you're saying that if persons who are involved in this scandal, the money, the ill-gotten gains, is found that persons have an account in the United States, and when you trace it, that money is connected. They could be in hot water. That's what you're saying, Mr. Rattigan?
Yeah, what I'm saying, to make it even more clear, is that if it's determined that criminal activity took place with the money being money leaving the financial institution, and in the act of leaving the financial institution, the money went via a U.S. bank or a corresponding bank, or whether it's a direct bank. It touches the U.S. banking system at some point. The money doesn't even have to go to the U.S. The money could go to India or Japan or somewhere else. As long as that money touched the U.S. banking system, the U.S. would have jurisdiction to investigate.
And let's say you would have a city group here in Jamaica, or a city bank, and so that is connected to the US, even that it would capture.
Yes, because then they would use the US banking system to funnel the money outside of the country. So then that would be a problem. Definitely be a problem. And you know, again, I'm just curious to see. I'm sure there's going to be an element of privacy involved in this, right? And so they're not going to come out and tell you, well, if somebody is suspected of wrongdoing, they might, pretty much like how this lady came out and did an affidavit saying, I took from this account, that account, that account, that. They might do that. But I'm interested to see, despite the hurdles of privacy, who had money in that bank.
Which politician?
Exactly, because I'd like to see if a politician, you know, if for example, you know, they look and they say Mr. X, Mr. X, who was an MP, he had like $3 million.
Mr. Tavares was an MP for Western Westmoreland. Go ahead.
And they said three. Then they said they have $3 million. Then the questions will be asked about. Wait a minute, where did this money come from? And now you start talking about the law that they have in Jamaica. What was it? Illicit Proceeds Act or something like that. Where you now have to explain where did you get? I know, and in fact, the burden of proof is on you. It's not on the government. It's on you to explain where this money came from. You know, did you win the lottery? Did somebody leave you the money in a will? Was it a gift from someone? I mean, you have to explain all of this. And so they're going to grab onto this money. So I mean, I'm interested, you know, to see how far this is going to go, because my feeling is that if some major politicians are involved in this, you're not going to see this investigation go to its logical extension. You won't see it.
Or is it that your grandfather, who's a Spanish man from Mexico, left some money here? Me only ask the question, me not say nothing more.
Yeah, it's gonna be that. I mean, that's. I'm waiting for that shoe to drop. I'm waiting for that shoe to drop.
But on a very serious note, our nation is in crisis, and if it happens that politicians are involved where money gone missing for them, and they don't want to see this investigation go to the extent that they are under investigation themselves to find where the money come from, then that is to show you that our country is in serious corruption and is in serious crisis.
You know what I'm afraid of? Here's what I'm concerned about: the financial stability of the country, considering what's going on. But I'm really concerned that there's so many stories that are getting buried as a result of this story. I mean, yep. Not too long ago, remember we used to talk about that girl who allegedly the policeman killed?
Donna Lee Donaldson?
Donna Lee. We haven't heard anything more about Donna Lee's case, right? Just like how we don't hear about the plane, anything about the plane, right? We don't hear anything more about Tufton and his dalliances and his activities regarding
rice and all kind of possible,
regarding possible corruption. We haven't heard anything about that. And this thing with the children thing, it's gonna get buried by this story. So we have to, what we have to do is not lose focus, not just run after the shiny object. Well, it's not a shiny object. This actually is a real story. But what we have to do is, you know, walk and chew gum at the same time. Make sure that we can focus on these other stories and that these stories, they don't get buried, because my suspicion is that they will get buried. And people, a month from now, when you mention, you know, Donnelly or something, them say, who that again? You know, and it's old. And Jamaicans, we have a tendency to say if it's stale, we just say, story that, yeah, fine. Yeah, we just say, oh. It's like them said to me, why you keep on go after Camina, you know, for the thing? And I'm gonna say, because we need to go after them. Because once they realize that, hey, people don't ease up, people like just like Advocates Network, you know, their mantra, we not ease up. When they find out that people aren't easing up, that's when you start seeing them taking and paying attention to what's going on. But other than that, they'll just
start take heed. But also, we must put on the table here that after an interview with Mr. I don't know if I said it before, you probably were you're absent, Mr. Rattigan. After an interview and News Talk 93 FM today with yours truly, did with Ralston Hyman, we understand that after that, the FSC did the right thing that they should have done before, where they now send in a manager. So the FSC is effectively have the organization now, SSL, under their jurisdiction.
Why didn't they do it before?
Thank you.
That's a question that we've been asking since from we begin talking here.
Well, you know, and that's what I'm saying. It's a very familiar trend, you know, where they do things after the act has occurred. And now it's just like with the man with Urbanski. They make Urbanski get out of the country. I know they're gonna try and bring him back when he was there. I mean, it makes no sense. We need to have a sea change in the way we think about issues and how we address issues. You know, do we wait for things to happen and then respond, or do we try to prevent them? We say it, but we don't do it.
Reactive, eh? We are reactive, not proactive.
Exactly.
And not only that, gentlemen, as what Mr. Rattigan says, that we have laws on the book, but we don't implement the laws. We have things on the book. We're good at writing stuff. Or is it, hold on there, is it that the powers may be implement laws to suit themselves and to cow down the people who live below Crossroad? Is that the case? Because the fact of the matter is, if there's laws on the book to regulate these companies, they don't do nothing about it. Laws on the books about the children in state care, and they do nothing about it. It begs to ask a question, Conor O'Brien. Are these people doing stuff to suit themselves and the favorite few of the Vumvava and the Vumvavi of Upper St. Andrew and Cherry Garden?
I wouldn't say that, because what happened, the enforcement rather does not carry through. For example, and you know, you have to ask the question, is it that there is a fear factor for persons who have responsibility to carry out their duty, so they don't do it? They get a call and they basically stay away from it, because on the face of it, the same knife that stick goat should stick sheep. However, we're not seeing that happening. For example, you have the young man who basically use a few swear words or whatever at the prime minister. And in our crime-ridden country, where you need a senior superintendent to be out there plotting the graph and say how we are going to capture hardened criminal, he was deployed with a number of other men to go and take the youngster.
Who are you talking? You mean Gary McKenzie? Go ahead.
No. Senior superintendent. What's his name there? Oh my
Chris
goodness.
Bailey?
No, man. He was down in Mobile one of the time.
And at one time he was at Denham Town.
Yeah, man. Anyhow, his name still come back to me. You know, so Steve McGregor, Senior Superintendent Steve McGregor, right? He went over there and went and take that man from under his bed. We had a situation where the pastor down in center and he was preaching, and also a female pastor, and they were all arrested and so on in short order. We have situation concerning certain people, and you know, it's just a par for the course. Nothing happened, and right now you are seeing the clear line of that to Jamaica continue to emerge. As a matter of fact, it's getting wider and wider. Where you're see, and that is why a senior police officer sent me something today. You know, talking about the whole business of the state of emergency, and what is happening with the state of emergency is this continuation of it to really keep the people in check, because to say that, listen, if you really go out of line, you know, we're going to get you. And
But,
she
but,
also
but gentlemen,
and she also stated in there that listen, this is a senior police officer, you know. She stated in there the message she sent me that this is how you get to dictatorship, by whittling away people's right, and you do it in a way that people agree to say, boy, me I gonna give up little like this and me I gonna give up little like that. And before you think, Jeffrey, you're in a full-fledged police state or a dictatorship. Am I correct, Mr. Rattigan?
but
Well,
don't
you know what? It's funny that you mentioned that because somebody sent me something and they were saying that, I think it's today or yesterday, that the Prime Minister was saying we should learn a couple of things from, I think it's El Salvador. He's saying we should learn a couple of things from El Salvador. No, El Salvador basically, you can't say they're under martial law because they have MS-13 down there creating all kinds of havoc. And so they have military people, they have this kind of, they have all kinds of things. And so rights have been suspended. So you're right. Once you start going on that slippery slope, I mean.
but listen to me. We, the citizens of this country, aren't we the one who put the Prime Minister where he is? Isn't Jamaica, isn't the word rather, the word minister in Latin mean servant of the people?
Yes, sir.
So the question must be asked of us as individuals and as Jamaican citizens. Is Mr. Holness above criticism? Is Mr. Holness above the law of this land? Or is it that Mr. Holness decide, because he is the Minister of Defense, along with the Minister of National Security, who is the Deputy Prime Minister, and the Deputy Minister of Defense, do they plan to let Jamaica become like the China of the Xi Jinping? Huh?
Well,
Jamaica don't produce cocaine. We don't produce cocaine. Yet every minute you hear cocaine bust. Is it that a drugs kingpin, or kingpin, or whatever I call it, live up Blue Mountain Peak with a helipad up there? Why so much cocaine bus is going on in this country?
No, well, the bus is good, you know. The bus is good. It's
I
good
don't mind the bus, you know, but I'm asking the question. Is it that a Colombian drugs kingpin, or king, whatever they want to call it, live up Blue Mountain Peak with black SUVs, bulletproofs, and there's a helipad up there? I can't shut my mouth tonight, yeah. That's the question must be asked. Why there is so much going on in this country? When the Cubans speak to the Jamaican counterpart about drugs running in Jamaican waters, they put a blind eye to it. And then the Prime Minister went to Washington like a puppet. Doesn't pay a damn nonsense. When the country, criminals are becoming a clear and present danger to the national security of the people of this country. And the corruption stink in this country. Where financial institutions robbing poor people. Look at Usain Bolt. Come from Trelawney. Huh? His own country rob him? What a damn disgrace. His own country, he decided to invest back in his own country. And his own countrymen rob him? How does it look at us as a people and as a country? How does it look at us in the international community, Mr. Rattigan?
Yeah, man. We're, like I said before, Vision 2030 is just that. It's just that. There's no reality in there. It's just a vision, you know. And so we can dream all we want about 2030. Oh, we're what, 7 years away to that imaginary utopia, And it's not go. I don't think it's going to happen. I hope it does happen, but based on all the signs I'm seeing, it's not happening.
And all we do is have a governor general who goes around and yam. They're talking about 2030 vision. And a minister of national insecurity and injustice, twiddly dum dum. And a commissioner of no police. Listen to me. The country is in serious crisis.
Jesus Christ. Jeffrey man tonight.
Like a friend, man, I said, Papa Jesus, take the case.
My good friend, the late Wilmot Perkins, it said, the center cannot hold. May anarchy is upon the land. The nation is in crisis, Mr. Rattigan and Mr. O'Brien.
You know, it's funny you mentioned that because we haven't heard from the minister, the good minister of national security. We haven't heard from him in a while. So I'm just wondering, because normally, you know, the minister would come out and say something like that. And we haven't heard from the crime minister, you know, who's also the prime minister. Because he has taken over the crime portfolio because we don't hear from the minister of national security. So he's taking it over. We haven't heard from him either. But we did hear from, and I don't know if Conrad is aware of this, that the good Dr. Chang, the Minister of National Security, he was in St. Lucia back in December, and it was reported that he went there for high-level talks concerning crime in the CARICOM region. Yeah, but then we found out that he was in charge of, he was a chairman of a group that's responsible for coordinating and doing this and doing that with crime in the CARICOM region. And I found it laughable because this man cannot control crime in his own constituency, you know, much less his country, much less the region. And I don't know what happened. So I guess they didn't make a big deal about him going there and ending his term.
We come to talk about SSL, and you guys gone very far, but I guess that's just to show you. That's just to show you. So many things are happening, but you know, it's a real problem, and I love this rock. So, you know, we have enumerated a whole lot about the issues that are taking place, the problem, and so on. What do you think we can do to salvage Jamaica? You know, how do we pull back ourselves from the brink? How do we capture our young men and women? How do we give them hope? You know, what can we do?
Leadership and mentorship. Leadership and mentorship. You have to have people who know how to lead. You have to have people who rise to the occasion. You cannot just have managers and managers performing poorly. And then you also have to have mentorship. You have to, like you talk about the young people, you have to have people who the young people will look up to. They say, I want to be like that person. You know, they want to aspire to be like that person. And so that there's encouragement, there's nurturing. You have to have that. And we're not seeing that. What we see is a crab in a barrel mentality, and every man for himself, and everybody just grab as much as they can.
Let me ask you this question, Mr. Rattigan, and also Mr. Tavares, you know, and we're reasoning. So,
yeah, the title, man. The title is Doctor the Honorable. Anyway, go ahead, I'm teasing you.
Good. So let's look at it. We saw where the opposition leader, Mark Golden, have been really standing up, holding his ground, taking position, and so on. Sometimes even against the background of, you know, persons saying that, boy, this is not a popular position that he should take and so on. But nonetheless, he is showing a mettle there, you know, and it is said that this is a man that his integrity is intact and so on. How do you view the present stand that Mark Golden has been taking within recent time? You think it argue well, Mr. Rattigan, for the kind of leader that we are hoping to see Jamaica throw up in the main? And I'm not saying now that Mark Golden have to be and will be the next prime minister. I'm talking about based on what we're seeing from him, the action that he has been taking, right? Not talking about the Ray, you know, out there and carry on, but just the stand that he's taking. He has basically taken a decisive stand, you know, even against some people within the private sector. So as it relates to the SOEs, we saw where this constitute the changing from the monarch and so on, where they want him to just sign off. He said, no, not so fast. We need some better and further particular before we go there. He's also saying, listen, let's look at the Caribbean Court of Justice and so on. Since we're moving away from the monarch, let's basically go there in one swoop, because in my humble opinion, I think it's just foolish for you to be moving away from the monarch and you still want to stay in the Privy Council. What do you think? What's your opinion?
Trinidad have it? Go ahead, Mr. Rattigan.
Well, we're not Trinidad. We're Jamaica.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's funny that you just mentioned that we're here talking about the financial crisis of one institution. And then we start talking about, you know, Dr. Chang, and now we're on to the leader of the opposition. But I believe that Jamaica
so the financial thing.
But Jamaica is a target-rich environment. You don't have to look far to find an issue. You know, I mean, every day issues just pop up on you. You know, and the question is, how many of them do you want to deal with, and which ones you want to deal with? Now, as far as Mark Golding is concerned, I have a healthy dose of respect for him. He seems to have the spine, you know, where he takes a position and he's not wishy-washy. However, what I'd like to see from him, because in order for the government to be good, you need a strong opposition. You can't have a weak opposition, because when you have a weak opposition, the government then just run roughshod over everything. You need an opposition that can keep the government in check. And have the government, and the reason why I say that is because I'm of the principle that whatever party is in charge of the government, they're in charge of the people. So, for example, the prime minister is not the prime minister of the JLP, he's the prime minister of Jamaica, and we all have to do everything that we can to support so that he's successful. By extension, Jamaica will be successful, and we'll all be successful. But in order for him to do that, we need to have a strong opposition.
We are losing Mr. Rattigan. Seems that we're having some technical difficulties here with the internet. They don't want Wilfred Rattigan to talk because I'm going to call the minister. Minister,
go ahead. Hear me.
We lost you, whatever. Go ahead.
Yeah. What I would like to see from Mr. Golding is I would like to see more presence. I would like to see more out on the what do you call it, on the road.
The beat or the campaign trail.
Yeah, like a campaign trail thing. I would like to see him. Now, he started a while back to do that. He started going all over to introduce himself to Jamaica when he first got the position. But I think I don't think he's followed up with that. He needs to do a little bit more of that. And also, what he needs to do is he needs to call on the foreign partners in Jamaica as the leader of the opposition. So, for example, he should be going over to the Brits. He should be going over to the Americans. He should be going over to the Germans, the Canadians, you know, talking a range of issues with them. Make himself seem, you know, presidential or ministerial. Yeah. So, yeah, that's what he should be doing. He shouldn't, he needs to show that he can form and develop and cultivate these relationships. Not just with the people in Jamaica, but also the foreign entities in Jamaica, the NGOs, you know, like UNICEF or whatever. If I were advising him, I'd say, look, what we're going to do is we're going to go on a road trip, and we're going to go and we're going to visit all of these people, and we're going to talk about issues of mutual concern. We're going to talk about your vision for Jamaica, how you see it, because that's how you develop support. Once people, you start talking to people and they see that, they say, okay, this guy, we can work with him. You know, they just don't want to hear you from afar. They want to see you up close and personal. And this is perfectly within his realm to do that.
Absolutely. Well, listen, within the latter part, and if you notice the trajectory of the opposition leader, he has grown. I think that certainly you can see, you want to see much more out of him. He's basically hitting the spots. Even Sunday, he was out there in St. Elizabeth at the cricket festival and so on. So he is intermingling with the people. I think that he needs to do more, as you said. You also talk about the road tour, both locally and overseas. Remember that to the latter part of last year, he was in the United States, where he would have gone across quite a few states there, and after that he went to England. But I think what you're saying, you're also saying that he needs to basically involve a lot of people in officialdom, so say in government, or maybe his opposition counterpart overseas. So he starts to shape that kind of relationship. That's what you're talking about. Well, you know, I think you're onto something. And as he says, he's quite in his grasp, so to do as the opposition leader. And all in all, but he has a very good start, as they say. He is not wishy-washy. He's a man who holds his position. He is very much au fait with the law, and so on and so forth. And as some people like to say that, you know, he's not a man who will come scrape something, because he already show his poise that he knows how to, you know, create a living for himself. And
you know what'll be interesting? What'll be interesting is to hear from him and Peter Bunting about the present crisis, because Peter Bunting was involved in banking, right? And Mark Golding was involved in providing advice to investors and all of that stuff.
Based on what I'm hearing, though, it is a possibility that the opposition leader will not comment on this now, because of what is going, in the sense of maybe he will, maybe he won't. We don't know, but it is a good thing. He said we can extend an invitation to him to come on.
Based on what, what happened? The spokesperson, who is the point man. Well, the opposition issued a statement broadly. But of course, the spokesperson, Julian Robbins, who is the point man, he was the one who they called on the government to issue a statement and what is happening. And after that, we saw where Nigel Clark came on, and as I said earlier, he, you know, like anybody would do, any minister would do, he tried to basically say to the people that, listen, there's nothing much for you to worry about. The sector is safe. Don't use this as this is a one-off, this is a side issue, and so on. You know that.
Hold on for me, Conrad O'Brien. Hold on a minute, because something they regular for me, Tavares, Jackson, Feder, you know. In any modern democracy, issues like this is going on. Drugs being caught at the wharf, financial sector fleecing people out of money. Don't you think you'd hear something from the Prime Minister telling the country to stay intact?
Okay. That's true. You would want your commander,
the leader, the commander-in-chief.
You want your commander-in-chief, your chief servant, to
the person who's in charge of the country, the father of the country. Portia was the mother. Let me make something clear to me, Tony. You know, me no labor right now, PNP. Me a Jamaican. Me come here by labor plane, not by airplane, not party. But the fact of the matter is, Prime Minister Holness, we need to hear from you. The people of the country is longing to hear you address the nation to the issues that affecting the nation. Yes, you talk about crime when you feel like, sir. But the fact of the matter is,
you're right, Jeffrey. We have seen a litany, and you know what happened? There was at times, and this is where, Jeffrey, the area that we're involved in, the media, really, sometimes people call me and they give the media a lot of sticking, and I can't say anything, because when Portia Simpson Miller was Prime Minister, all the established media houses were down on her. She wasn't having a sit down with the media and so on. And Mr. Holness have been going on for so long now, and no sit down with the media, and nobody is saying anything. We have not heard a proper address to the nation to say, listen, We're seeing where the crime is out of control. Just the behavior, the whole fabric of Jamaica is going down a slippery slope. I hear young ladies, young ladies. Hold on, Jeff. I hear young ladies, and I'm not saying that the Prime Minister is responsible for moral in people's home, because parents have to say that. But just what is coming out of young people, it's like there's just no standard. Everything just let loose. It's just a Clarks mentality. A man want a pair of Clarks and this, that, and so. And it is sad.
And not only that, the Prime Minister went to Washington to meet with FBI agency and all kind of bangarang. And the Prime Minister had the decency to address the nation what he went to Washington about.
Well, there you go. It's a slow of things.
When I had a program a couple of months ago, and I bring on the former advisor to the former Haitian president, and a good friend of mine from Haiti. Her parents are American citizens. No, her parents are Haitian citizens rather, but she was born in America. And I bring them on to speak about Haiti. And the question I asked and the topic that I had, is Jamaica knocking behind Haiti's back door? And I got called after the program and said, Jeffrey, don't say something like that. I am asking the question tonight. Is Jamaica knocking behind Haiti's back door? The crime is out of whack. The corruption is out of whack. The nation is jumping off a cliff. And there's nobody to pull back up the nation.
Here are having not going through a perilous time, because although we hear about Robansky, we understand that there are other things that are happening in other institutions.
Yes.
A lot of things.
You don't hear the Prime Minister address the nation about the issues. You have a minister of education. I respect the lady, but good God Almighty, man, couldn't they find somebody better?
Listen, Jeffrey, there is no way the Prime Minister can come out and have a sit down with the media, because there's no good news to report. First of all, the good news story that he would like to report is that Jamaica is doing well economically. But on the horizon, we see where there could be troubled times ahead. So he has to be careful how he coaches, the statements regarding the economy. And also remember, people are still suffering, because 60%, as we have said so many times, 60% earnings of people earning 60, approximately $60 a week. And then you have another, 11% are earning less than $5.50 a day, right? So there's no good news. And look, if him can't talk about Ministry of Labor, right? Because if him start talking about Ministry of Labor and say, well, our unemployment rate is the lowest, then you ask him the question, okay, where are they employed? And how much are they enjoying a livable wage, considering inflation? Then when you talk about,
as a matter of fact, the first question that you'd pose, certainly I would want to ask. Here is it. You're saying that you have the lowest unemployment, but at the same time, the total amount of people in the workforce is less than when you had a higher unemployment rate. So where are those persons?
They're the dropouts. They're not looking for jobs.
Whatever. And it begs the question also, Ratty, with people saying that there are so many persons employed. The other day they have a job fest that they were seeking some people to work. And I understand that they had certain so much posts, and thousands upon thousands of people turn up.
Right.
Yes,
so the Minister of Labor, he can answer the tough questions over Minister of Labor. Minister of Education, forget about it. He would be buried with questions. Minister of Debt, you can't ask him no questions over there, so because him finish. Ministry of Health, him can't answer the question. So and those are four significant ministries. So how him can sit down and talk to the media? How? And this is JIS him out talk to. Him can't talk to mainstream media about
Well,
it. I mean, let me ask you this, as a journalist and broadcaster, how would he fare? How would the Prime Minister fare in a one-on-one with you where you can ask him any question you want to ask him? How do you think he would fare?
Certainly talking for myself.
Yeah, I'm talking about you, yeah.
If the Prime Minister decide to give me a one-on-one, which I am asking for, I would love to have the Prime Minister in my program. Because believe me, I would have some very, very, very respectful, but some very tough questions for the Prime Minister. Very, very tough questions for the Prime Minister. And I know that the Prime Minister is a man who is known to speak fluently, but I'm sure that he would have a few stuttery moments.
but here's the thing. I know if I sit down with him, right? I know my strong points, and I know where I'm not so strong. But even where I'm not so strong, because he's in a failing position, I can ask him questions. And the thing about it is that when he start off with the beautiful words like a string of pearls, right? That don't move me. That can be cut right through it. I mean, asking the who, when, where, why, what, how. And right so it stop all this flowery language. It stop it because he can't tell me. It way more tell me. Because I'm going to bring him right back to the facts, and I'll bring him to the law. I'll bring him back to the facts, the law, and the conditions.
Yes.
Them three things I'm bring him to.
Yes. The Prime Minister.
Hold on for me. Hold on for me. A question is in the chat room. Did the Prime Minister, well, a statement, did the Prime Minister tell the Jamaican people why he went to Israel?
No.
Did he tell the people who purchased the land over by Clifton?
Yes.
Who purchased the land over by Clifton?
Eh?
Who purchased the land over by Clifton?
Oh, who sell it? Who sell it? Sorry. Oh, no, he told us who sold it. He said it was Klansman sold it.
So okay, I gotta bring up that. But he went to the People's Parliament and he said that his criminal elements selling off the land over there.
Mm-hmm.
And that justify him to bring out the entire Jamaica Defense Force with helicopter in the air and drones. And there's only one person was locked up for it, and is the principal of a school in his constituency. So is it that is that the principal is a part of the Klansman gang too?
I would imagine so.
Look, he back in 20, I think it's 2017, 2018, he talked about regularizing informal communities and said, this is what we're going to be doing. And then you ask him the question, now, is this part of that initiative? Because if it is, what about the other communities? We have heard it publicize only one. But what about the others? Because Clifton is not the only community that lived on government land, right? And the idea that, oh, we're going in because we're going to rid it of the criminal elements, that's nonsense. That's born out to be nonsense, right? The idea is they want to regularize the community and want to give them beautiful homes and all that stuff. There are plenty of places he could have started. And even since Clifton, there are plenty of places he could have gone to, right? But again, you know, it's a lot of talk. That's what I'm saying to you. With his flowery language, him can't get past me because in 2017, 2018, yeah, he talked about what he's going to do. Similarly, Minister Robert Nestor Morgan talked about, and I think I have it here too, you know. I have to read this one for Fireman because I don't think I share this with the Fireman.
You mean the Minister of Misinformation?
Is that his girlfriend? I don't know.
Robert Nestor Morgan is dubbed as Jamaica's Minister of Misinformation.
Okay, no, when you say miss, I thought you meant a woman when you say misinformation.
The Minister of Misinformation.
No, it's not Ms. It's not misinformation, it's Miss.
Miss.
Hold on. Sita? Fireman.
Yeah, man.
I'm going to read you something, right? In 2020, right? In November 2020, Minister Morgan called for he called for an investigation. He called for the Child Protection and Family Services Agency, CPFSA, to expedite investigations into 2 recent disturbing incidents involving children. One was the mauling of a child by a dog, and the other one was finding a child dead in a pump house, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then he found floating in sewage in a pump house, right? And then listen to what he said. This is he's the junior minister in the Ministry of Education responsible for youth. He said the ministry is focused. Now keep in mind, this is 2020. He said the ministry is focused on passing key pieces of legislation to better protect children. These include reforms to the Child Care and Protection Act and the Adoption Act, as well as administrative changes to do what? To improve how the ministry responds to matters that affect the well-being of children. Now, I want to ask this minister, where are those legislations, the key piece of legislation? Where are those things that he's talking about in 2020? Did he spearhead any of them? What's the story? What passed? What didn't pass? And then he says it's going to improve how the ministry responds to matters that affect the well-being of children. Well, how did he respond to what name Kabinski or whatever name? How did he respond to that?
Paul Rabinsky.
Yeah, Rabinsky. How did he respond to that? So it's similar where they talk a good talk, but what happened is that we are pioneers in this field. When I say pioneers, we're the latter-day pioneers, because we don't get swallowed up with the fancy rhetoric and the string of pearl words, right? What we do is we say, okay, you said you're gonna do this. Did you do it? Where, when, why, what, how? And we hold them responsible. And so that's why we're giving them fits right now, because they're not used to this. They're used to people, journalists just asking them some questions. And the other thing is that we're asking questions because we know the answers and we want to hear the answer from them. We're not asking questions just to get an answer. We're asking questions to get the truth because we know the answer. So
and also we need Prime Minister Holness. The case between, well, I shouldn't say Prime Minister Holness, but the case in question right now with the former principal of Jamaica College and former Minister of Education, with the Petrojam saga. Petrojam saga and the CMU saga and the Ministry of Education saga. How long shall we wait?
You know what?
You know
what happened? What happened is that the Prime Minister was once a Minister of Education. Yes. And he appointed Ruel Reid to the Senate, if I'm correct.
Yes, he did.
Yes, he
right.
did.
And so he sent him over to there. So you're telling me that he couldn't give him some reasonable advice to say, listen, over at the ministry, here's what I expect you to do, and this is what you have to do. Which brings me to the point of him when.
But you don't know if what Mr. Reid did, it was based on advice, sir. So how could you say that?
No, I'm taking the high road. I'm not gonna say. I'm taking the high road by saying that he could have given him some advice as to what his expectations were over when he appointed him to the Ministry of Education, because he said, look, I've been there, and so this is what I want you to do, right? Or maybe he did tell him, like you said, anytime, this is what I really want you to do. This is what I want you to do, and then this is what I really want you to do. But then we also have the situation. Well, we also have the situation where, remember, he said he was gonna hand out stuff with his cabinet and give them like a report card and all of that stuff. What happened?
Job description.
So what happened with that?
Because he ended up saying he said, in my 100 days as Prime Minister, I'll put in Parliament legislation for term limits. And I will also put in Parliament legislation for members of Parliament, for what they call it, work sitting under that.
Yeah, man. Job description.
Job descriptions.
Yeah, where that
Prime
there?
Minister Holness. 100 day gone long time. But me, I, Jeffrey Tavares, ask you.
He will make us sleep with our windows and door open.
Hold on there. I, Jeffrey Tavares, ask you, Prime Minister Andrew Holness, a question at a town hall meeting via Zoom. What happened to the term limits? You said that it was in the 2020, what was it, 2020?
No, it was in the 2016 manifesto.
Yes.
But it was not in the 2020 manifesto.
So people can vote them in and vote them out. So it's pure lie you tell the people of the country that, Mr. Prime Minister. You say people not see that door open now, we know one man trying, nearly dead.
You can't do it as long as, you know, as you can do it. You can't sleep with the door and window open as long as you're not sleeping in your quarters. You sleep somewhere else and leave the window and door open. That's the only way that I go.
Gentlemen.
You see, hold on here. We're going to come off soon. I know you have to go press. You can't yell up press, you know. I know you have to go press.
Jeffrey, we're live. We're live, Jeffrey. We're live.
We're live, same way. We're live, same way. And then make me talk, Jeffrey Tavares YouTube channel.
I press close very well.
Yes, man, you pressed it close them very well.
Oh, that, no.
Anyway, Jeffrey, shut your mouth.
And
But no, gentlemen, on a very serious note,
Mm.
we have corruption in the financial institutions. We have corruption in government. We all know what's going on around us.
Yeah, man, we see it, man. That's why we're here talking this evening.
So I want to know, does the people of our country what is going on around us? Or is people of the lower class of society, not the people of the Vumba and the Vumba bean?
Look, I think that the Prime Minister is astute enough to realize that there are dark clouds on the horizon and there is trouble ahead. And that's why he's gone out of his way to militarize the police, militarize investigative agencies, because he understands the discipline of a military man and the commitment and the allegiance and loyalty of a military man. He doesn't understand he's not given to the understanding that a policeman can do that for him. And so what he's thinking about, he's looking around the Caribbean and he's looking at uprisings and all of that. And so he's preparing himself so that nobody. Yeah, he's preparing himself.
I want to ask him this question.
Ask him.
Remember 2010 incursion, Prime Minister Holness? Stop putting the Jamaican people back against the wall because they will rebel. And another question I want to ask, who gave the order to kill Keith Clark? Who gave the JDF personnel the order to kill Keith Clark in the 2010 incursion in Tivoli? Who went to the man upscale home in Upper St. Andrew and pumped bullet? How much bullet in him and kill him? And until now, nothing comes out of it.
I think Mr. Clark was mistakenly shot. I don't think no instruction was given to shot, Mr.
Oh, yeah.
No, I don't think so. That's
There's
my
an old Jamaican saying, we're not good for eating. Why not good for eating if you chat it like that?
I hear that, but you know.
Anyway, this is now, it's 9:50. I'm talking to the fireman, but him fire out tonight. So I want to go press.
No, you
and
see,
the one who loves to signal the plane, me can't get a hold of him because he's playing the signal too much.
Him send me a message while we're on. But tell somebody on the program. I don't think you want to come to join.
You know, I tell you, just before I go.
Where did I go? Where you going?
Man, I go press.
Hold on. Then I thought you closing.
No, we're not closing. We haven't we haven't spoke about the $16 million sign when they thief the light from the grill sign. I know the sign.
Yeah.
The sign is in Hanover in Westmoreland.
Oh my God. Well, you know, I gather that the people are so upset that their money was spent in such a cavalier way. So that's
you know what? You know what? The sign issue. You know, I actually spoke to the mayor of the deputy mayor of Montego Bay, and he has a plausible.
You know, it's two signs. So he spoke to you about the Montego Bay one or the Negril one.
He spoke to me
about
about
the Negril one.
He spoke to me about both of them because he has some information about the one in Negril, but he's intimately connected to the one in Montego Bay. And I mean, when you listen to his explanation, it's plausible. I mean, you could make an argument for or against, but it's nice to at least, you know, listen to somebody who can present a point that you may not necessarily agree with, but you appreciate the fact that the person is making the point. And given a different set of circumstances, you probably would agree with him. But
I can tell you, I can tell you this. I went to Montego Bay on a few occasions since that sign has been erected. And I can tell you, Ratty and Jeffrey, there's absolutely no justification for 17 million Jamaican dollars to use for that sign. I'm not talking about, when I say use for that sign, meaning that what you're seeing on the ground. Absolutely not.
Well, you know what? I'd like to. I've had a discussion with him about that, and one of these days, I'll get him and
we can argue that point. I'm talking about, and I understand that first thing you're talking about a resort town. So, you know, people might say, and they might talk about the aesthetic around it. There's a little thing around it, and you go say, boy, you put some. But trust me, have you seen it?
Yeah, I've seen it.
I'm talking about the one in Mobby, because I haven't seen the one in.
Well, let me talk about the one in the grill. Let me say something to you now. I haven't seen it. I've seen videos and photographs of it. It's wasted money. Negril has put Jamaica on the map when it comes down to tourism. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
When hippies start coming to Negril, when hippies start coming to Jamaica, they come to Negril because they want to go up into Orange Hill for the ganja, for all those things. And you're going to spend $17 million when the Negril Health Center is in a deplorable condition? When Negril need a hospital, the closest hospital is 18 miles away. And the other one is how many miles away? The Noel Home Hospital in Lucy. And you're going to spend $17 million. And a sign to the Susan Negril, and the sign is in Hanover, not in Westmoreland. Huh?
Well, the one in Montego Bay, he explained to me that taxpayers, the money didn't come from taxpayers' coffers. Part of it came from the private sector in Montego Bay. I think 5 million out of the 17 came from the private sector, and then some money come from somewhere else. Then, as far as
they find some money in the budget. Go ahead.
No, as far as the taxpayers are concerned, they have the departure tax that they charge when they leave. The rest of the money came from that.
Yeah, but Rattigan, listen, I understand that because I'm aware. I didn't know that's what you're talking, that information. I'm aware of the information. We get that, because we get a breakdown. But here what happened. First thing to begin with, the departure tax becomes Jamaican money. It is Jamaican money.
Yeah, no, I understand that. I understand that.
Therefore, that argument to say none, because that's how you raise tax.
No.
Therefore, it simply means, hold on, sir. It simply means that you could say that the money that you collect for head tax, which is the taxes, is not Jamaican people money. if you're going to go that route. But I understand it, but I wasn't even talking about that. I'm talking about what you're seeing on the ground, what is there. That is what I'm talking about.
Well, the other piece about it, the other piece about it is that he said that it was put out for bidding and that the person who constructed that was the lowest bidder because there's a monopoly on sign making in Jamaica. He said they don't have a lot of competition where you can drive down the prices. They're very, in fact, I think he even told me that two of the companies owned by the same family, two of the same sign making companies.
Well, my brethren, I can tell you this. What I saw there, a regular man who are lay 2 block and render one piece of wall. Could I do that? Nothing at all in terms of architectural work or anything. Nothing exciting.
No, but remember what I said though? I said that even a plausible argument, you don't necessarily agree with him, but him put out in points, you know, and say, well, like for example, the thing about it, when he said, listen, this thing was put out for bid, right? It was put out for tender. And we accepted the lowest bidder. And that was the lowest price.
Okay.
But what I keep on saying, and I'll forever say this, tourism in Negril gone to the dogs. You have the hotels in Negril, on the western strip of Negril, Tigress, Lamar. You have hotels on the beach road who started tourism in Negril. And people hardly going there because of the all-inclusive. What has successful government done to uplift Negril, who start tourism in Negril? You don't build a sign about welcome to Negril? When the Negril town look like some old graveyard? That even graveyard, it look like some tenement place?
You see, my friend,
wrong. I understand that the sign even faces the wrong direction.
Yes.
In the direction with the tourists. Yeah. It's facing, I think, what face? Westmoreland or
Hanover.
It faces a sign. Yeah, it faces St. James side, you know, where tourism
Hanover side.
Flock and a come. Yeah.
But Jeffrey, it's even a bigger point just now, Sir Ratty, where I mentioned about the direction that the tourism product has taken in terms of the all-inclusive hotel. And the main players, the original Dan Gargans in tourism, you know, they are left out of the loop. And it is as a result of the $1 billion elephant that is in the room. And what is that?
The all-inclusive and the lack of government not doing nothing for Negril.
No, the $1 billion elephant in the room is crime. And as a result of the crime.
Hold on there now. Hold on. You hold on a minute.
No, allow me. I'm not necessarily talking about just Negril alone. I'm saying the tourism product generally. And it's a fact. What is happening because of crime? Tourists are being locked behind 4 walls. And the wider community, the poor people, the average man out there, not really a benefit from tourism. Because
it's 10 o'clock.
They're not out there. That is it. And a big part of that is because of the crime.
Yes, I agree with you. But also, Mr. Rattigan and Mr. O'Brien, when you have successful government, and successful government, you have a man they call Boxon Cook of the Labour Party for Western Westmoreland back in the days. Then you have the McNeil family who came in, run Negril for how many years? What has the McNeil family done for Negril? And they have been members of, the father become member of parliament, the son is member of parliament. What have they done for Negril? Negril look like some old tenement. And this is a tourist resort area? And not build sign for Negril? Come on, man. It's a slap in the people of Negril face. It's a slap in the people who build tourism in Negril, the artisans, the Samuels, the Lawrence from Tigress. And I can call names.
Like a Negril man. Are you a Negril man?
Yeah, man. And the girl come from.
Damn shame and disgrace when you're talking about building sign. Huh? What have they done to develop Negril? Nothing.
So what have you done for the people of Negril, Jeffrey?
Me no member of parliament. Me not tell them to come if vote behind the X or the bill.
Me you say a JP.
And I'm not a jackass of the peace. Anyway, your final words before we go because it's 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
I'm in a campaign tonight.
Look, so like I said, a well-known businessman, an influential member, bastion of the society. He told me a while back. He told me last year, June, July. He told me, he said, look, if you're gonna do a radio program, you don't have to worry about content because Jamaica is content rich. And his words, although I didn't believe him at the time, they're very prophetic because there's not a single day that goes by that something controversial is not happening in Jamaica. And it's just a shame that we don't have, and I maintain, don't have leaders. We don't have leaders. What we have is, we have people who proclaim to be leaders, but they're actually managers, poor managers at best. And is the blind leading the blind, you know? And we have people that they have no clue about how to run a government, how to run a country, how to conduct international affairs. They don't. And all we hear is we hear the flowery language, you know? We're gonna stop crime, we're gonna stop corruption, we're gonna increase wealth, we're gonna transfer wealth, we're gonna have people go from poor class to middle class to upper class. We're gonna build roads, we're gonna have good hospitals, we're gonna have sound education, we're gonna have fabulous housing. And so far, it's just words, just words, just words. So Jamaican people, I hope you're mindful of what's going on. And there's always a next time, always a next time. And that next time is not too far away. I think we have the local elections coming up, and you have to let your voices be heard, and you have to let your fingers do the talking as well. And vote for the person who you think is going to do the best for your community, not because of a party, and not because somebody give you some money and a 2-piece of fried chicken, a steel chicken. No, your vote is worth much more than that. Think about not the present, but think about the future. Thank you.
The man himself, dub him as the fireman. Conrad O'Brien, your final words about our beloved nation, Jamaica land we love.
Thanks very much, my good friend Jeffrey Tavares, the defender. And
the
my
poor
brother,
people.
indeed, and my brother, the rebel, Wilfred Rattigan. It's always a pleasure to be in your esteemed company, you know, where we dissect the relevant issues. We have the presence of mind to make a little fun of ourselves from time to time during the discourse. But we always get back to the center of gravity where it matters most. This evening, at 5 minutes after 10 o'clock, the 17th day of January 2023, our country, Jamaica land we love, we are at a tipping point in more ways than one. The graph and the corruption index is showing that we're way up there. Crime, we're way up there. Bad attitude and no values, we're way up there. Our people are suffering from lack of good wages. Our health facilities continue to be bursting at the seam. I got a call today where persons are saying that people are literally dying in the hallway or in the passageway at the Cornwall Regional Hospital because of lack of proper facilities. The roads that we have to traverse, that they're charging us road maintenance funds for, they're charging us $7.50 per liter for edge fund that is supposed to be going towards the road maintenance. Nothing is happening. We're driving everywhere you turn is potholes. And indeed, those potholes are costing us, the motorists, because we're having busted tires or front end are in shambles. So many things are going awry in Jamaica. The present scenario that we're seeing in the financial sector that could bring Jamaica to its knees, because we could face with a possible capital flight. We could see people start to resort to keeping monies again under their mattresses. And all of those things at a time when we are being encouraged that you must trust the system and more people must stand into the formal system. At a time when it is said that you're going to have less use for raw cash, you must come into the system. We're seeing where our hard-earned savings are being pilfered. And indeed, time comes when we must call on the powers that be to do what is best for this rock called Jamaica land we love. Tomorrow, we gather that the FSC will be holding a press conference. And I'm hoping and praying that members of the Fourth Estate, of which I'm a part, because I don't know that I will be at the press conference, will go inside there and ask a tough question. Chief among them must be to the FSC. Why was SSL continue to be operational? Is it because their tentacles stretch very, very far? We need some disclosure. In the name of God Almighty, I rest my case this evening and I pray for Jamaica land we love, that one day we will truly realize this goal, this dream, this aspiration as Jamaica being the place to live, raise families, and do business. God bless you all.
Thank you, my good friend, Conrad O'Brien. You know, I grew up in a home by my grandmother and godmother, my aunts and my uncles. And there's one thing that I always remember. My godmother, who I grew up mainly with, she will just don't eat her breakfast and by 10 o'clock she put on dinner. And by 11:30, 12 o'clock, dinner finish. Because she always said that someone's going to pass by that is hungry. I said that to say this. Our nation need love. Our people is lacking of love. There is no love in us anymore. And until the leaders of our country can show this piece of rock, my good friend in the Cayman Islands, Dr. Sidney Overly Banks, always said this. He came to Cayman by labor pain, not by aeroplane. And I'm saying this tonight. If we treat this country that our mother bore us or bear us for 9 livelong months and have a labor pain to bring us into this land and to this world, we'll treat Jamaica better. We came here by labor pain, not by aeroplane. And the time has come for my fellow Jamaicans to think about this country, this rock of ours. Don't think about the Labour Party government. or the People's National Party, think about this country. This piece of rock. Is this a Jamaica we're going to leave for our children? Is this a Jamaica we're going to leave for our children? A Jamaica that is corrupt, from Jamaica House to King's House to Parliament to Arms House, to the child protection agencies? Is this the Jamaica we really want to leave? Is this the Jamaica we're talking about the 2030 vision for? Do we truly want a Jamaica for 2030? Do we? A young man who somebody at his school, his PE teacher in Trelawney, see the potential in Usain Bolt and drive him to become one of the world's greatest athletes. And he has made this country proud. And he decided to invest back in his country. This is the thanks he gets. This is the thanks Usain Bolt get for putting Jamaica in the 21st century on the map when it comes on to track and field. Is this the thanks Usain St. Leah Bolt get from the country that he worked so hard for? With sweat and tears and injury. He injured himself running for this country. This is the thanks he gets. I say to you all tonight, let us continue to speak out and speak for the poor class of our fellow Jamaicans. A lot of you out there saying that Usain Bolt don't feel nothing. No, stop saying that. We in this country need help. The former Minister of National Security, Peter Bunting, called for divine intervention. Jamaica has churches per square mile. This country is going on a slippery slope. We are running down Spurgery Hill without any break. The Prime Minister of this country alone can't help Jamaica. We the people, yes, we put them there. But we the people must come together and fight for this rock. And this is the time. The time is now for us to rally around a single cause and a single purpose. The time is now. And I say to the SSL, and I say to the CPFSA, and I say to the House of Parliament, God is watching you all. God do not like to see his people cry. And the eyes of the poor class of Jamaicans, the eye water of the poor class of Jamaicans is on the head of the politicians of this country. Stop putting the Jamaican people back against the wall. Usain Bolt need his money. Pay back Mr. Bolt his money and all the rest of people whose money has gone missing. And I end by saying, for all those whose cares has been our concern, the work goes on, the cause endure, the hope still lives. and the dream for a better Jamaica shall never die. May God bless you. Until you hear my voice again, on behalf of Wilfred Rattigan, Conrad O'Brien, I am Jeffrey Tavares. May God bless you, and may God bless Jamaica land we love. Thank you all.